Thursday of the 4th week of Lent. Judas. Jesus said to him, "What you are going to do, do quickly." John 13, verse 27. This week we have contemplated how the growing tension between Jesus and the religious leaders would have affected not just Mary, but also Peter. Today, let us consider how the tension may have affected another one of Jesus' closest followers and friends, Judas. Let's take a moment to contrast Judas and Peter. While there is a difference between outright betrayal and denial, both men turn their backs on Jesus at a crucial time. Judas takes money to hand him over to the authorities who want Jesus killed. And during Jesus' trial, Peter denies 3 times that he ever knew Jesus. However, Scripture tells us that Peter, despite his imperfections, will again turn his face to the Lord, just as when he began to sink and cried out, "Lord, save me," in Matthew 14:30. After his denial, Peter in his shame will face Jesus again and accept his forgiveness. See John 21, verses 15 and 17. Scripture doesn't tell us the same of Judas. Judas appears to have remained isolated in his struggle and doubt and shame. We know very little about Judas. Scripture says he was one of the original 12. See Luke 6, verses 12 to 16. We know he stole from the money box. See John 12:6. We know he betrayed Jesus for 30 pieces of silver. See Matthew 26:14 and 15. Later, he felt great shame and he committed suicide. See Matthew 27:3-5. Despite what we don't know about Judas, consider what we do know. Each of these references mentions things that Judas does in secret, away from Jesus and the other disciples. These behaviors of Judas underscore the importance of transparency in our relationship with the Lord. The Gospel of John tells us that poignant moment at the Last Supper. By this time, betrayal is already in Judas's heart. Jesus looks at Judas and says, "What you are going to do, do it quickly." John 13:27. I have often wondered what would have happened if, at that moment, instead of getting up and leaving, Judas had said, "Rabbi, I need help." What would have happened if Judas had echoed Peter's own words, "Lord, save me"? It is never too late to ask the Lord for help. But here, while we are still on the road to Jerusalem, we can only imagine the grief and pain in Mary's heart as she senses Judas's struggle and sees him sinking further and further into isolation. Perhaps she notices that he is troubled after hearing Jesus' words, "Do you think that I have come to give peace on the earth? No, I tell you, but rather division." Luke 12:51. Perhaps she notices his discomfort when the Pharisees scoff at Jesus. What resides in the human heart is sacred. Where we go with what is in our hearts is also of great importance. We can only imagine what was in Mary's heart as she watched Judas fail to take his heart to the Lord. Let us learn from her and also from Judas. Let us ask for the grace to take our hearts to the Lord. For your prayer. Spend an additional 15 minutes today in prayer. Reflect on the lives of Jesus and Mary through the Rosary. Aim to pray 3 decades if you can. At the end of each decade, pause for a few minutes in silence and ask Mary to look at you. Ask her to speak to you about how Judas was affected by the mounting tension with the scribes and Pharisees. Then ask Mary to take you to her son. Let go of any distractions, and let this happen however the Spirit desires. Simply ask Mary to bring you to Jesus. What words stood out to you as you prayed? Enjoy your prayer.